Hey Juve. The sun's out, we got beer, and it's the Game of Thrones finale tonight. But before we get into that, we got to talk about the Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 2. I'm going to recap that. I saw the finale there on Friday. It comes out a month later than it does in the States because of UK shit reasons. Um, I liked it, man. Honestly, Marvel. It's kind of like my little guilty secret. It's a show that left me a little bit underwhelmed at the beginning. Um, but if you made it through the first season, you were rewarded with the second season. The first season really picked up, and it was a conscious decision. They were playing it slow, and they were keeping their cards close to the chest, um, for good reason. They had a plan going in, and then once we saw the events of Winter Soldier, we see how that plan is executed. It's great. Season 2 really picked up the pace. Season 2 opens up with Shield is still underground, but they're still active. They're going to protect the people their way. They're being hunted by the U.S. government by fucking not Thunderbolt Ross. What do you call the other guy? Talbot. General Glenn Talbot from the a Hulk film like that, played by Adrian Pasdar from Heroes. I love that. That's good. So they've got their own little Thunderbolt Ross type thing going on. Where they're being hunted by the U.S. government, but at the same time they're at war with Hydra. I loved it. That's good. Really picks up. First half of the season, great, because it's all about, like, Sky's dad is Calvin Zabo, and he's this mysterious murderous doctor, and it's all about, we think maybe Sky's gifted and she's destined for something greater. We find out by the end of the first half, we find out that she is Daisy Johnson, and she's going to be Quake. It's going to be awesome. She's Quake from the Howling Commandos. Nice. Second half of the season, there's this argument about are these metahumans good or bad? Do we need them in this world? And then like the threat of Hydra is effectively done. That's sort of pushed to the wayside, and it pops up every now and then. But like post Age of Ultron, they touch on Age of Ultron as well. There's an episode that leads into it nicely, and then a week later, Age of Ultron happened there, which is interesting. That being said, Hydra just sort of goes away, and then it becomes about the Inhumans. The focus shifts onto the Inhumans themselves. Not as many like Marvel Easter eggs. There's no larger cinematic universe cameos, except for Kobe Smulders as Maria Hill in one episode, tail end of one episode, just before the Age of Ultron happens. But it's pretty good. I like the idea that it's its own little corner of that world, and it doesn't need people to come in every now and then. It'd be nice if Hawkeye or somebody showed up. But this season does give us Mockingbird. We got Quake. The lady, no, that's not true actually. Lady Sif from Thor shows up just to give it a bit of Basil exposition, so she can explain who the Kree are, who the Inhumans are, how all this weird mess began. Things really heat up in the second half of the season. We also find out that there's this other faction of Shield that are better equipped and have infiltrated Coulson's faction, Coulson's headquarters, his team, and are working not against him, but just working to undermine him. And the whole thing actually undermines the premise of the show, because if there's a better, well-run, well-funded, well-equipped faction of S.H.I.E.L.D. run by freaking Commander Adama, no less, run by Admiral fucking Adama, Edward James Olmos himself, then why are we wasting our time with these guys? You've suddenly shown us a more attractive alternative to the main cast, which is such a mistake for any show to do. So make of that what you will. It all gets worked out in the end. I mean, they all decide to join up and take down Hydra, which is cool, and yeah, it's nice. It leads into Age of Ultron nicely. There's one of the doctors from there is in it. I like what they did with Grant Ward. They didn't completely redeem him, but he's just kind of, they didn't completely redeem the guy. He was the traitor in the first season, and now this season he's their prisoner. Then he's a wild card. Then he's with Hydra. Then he's not. By the end of this, I like that guy so much that I think he would be a good Superman. Sure, this was a bad role, but I think he's got the acting chops, and he looks the part. I would see that. I would see that as a Superman. So if CW is looking, there you go. Go fetch this guy. Having said that, though, the end of season 2 kind of kind of sets him up to be the new head of Hydra. I mean, Strucker died in Age of Ultron. Whitehall died earlier in the season. They didn't mention Zemo, so that's interesting. But I like to see that. I'd like to see him taking over Hydra. We also see like Coulson and his team they've made it through the ringer, and they're setting up. They're going to start their own little sort of mini Avengers in the form of the Secret Warriors. The Secret Warriors are based on a Caterpillar file that Nick Fury made of the offspring or descendants of metahumans, superheroes or supervillains that haven't gone public yet, and he was going to use them for his own ends. And it looks like, in the comics, Daisy Johnson is the team leader of that. Sky is Daisy Johnson, so I like the idea that happens. Yeah, and it delivered. This season did deliver with one or two shocks. Whenever you meet Sky's mom, that's not a shock, but some of the things she does and her actions that are, and a lot of her storyline gets more shocking as it goes on. So that was interesting. There was one really interesting scene between her and Edward James Olmos that had me yelling at the TV, just going, "What? Are you?" Yeah, that. Anything that can evoke that sort of reaction, particularly in a show that is, it's not. It's a million miles away from Daredevil. Closer in tone to the Flash, but the Flash is able to deliver the funny and keep it lighthearted whilst not undermining the threats or the tragedy or the sadness. This show walks the line. It can be a very uneven show, not to the point that The Walking Dead is uneven, whereby you don't know if you're going to tune in to get a good episode or not. This show, in the last like quarter of this season, really picked up, really got strong. But when they introduced the other faction of Shield, and then it became about the Inhumans and less about Hydra, it just became very unfocused and a bit of a mess. I'd like to see them straighten that out going forward. I know that the producers and the showrunners, had a 2-year plan, and well, they've made it to season 3 now. So look, I'll say this: it's made me excited for what's to come, which is more than I can say for Arrow. Arrow has not made me excited for anything to come. The Arrow season 3 finale didn't whet my appetite for season 4. This season 2 finale has whet my appetite for season 3. They cut off Phil Coulson's hand. I can't wait to see what they're going to replace that with. They're going to make the Howling Commandos. We know there's going to be more metahumans out there because everyone in the Marvel Cinematic Universe likes fish oil for reasons, I guess. Ward's going to be the new Baron Strucker, head of Hydra. I like that. That's cool. The Howling Commandos. I'm going to touch on that one more time. But like wish list for this show. Get Eden Feasey, the Aborigine teleporter from Secret Warriors and the Avengers. Love him. And get JT. He's a guy from Texas. He's a descendant of the original Ghost Rider. He's not a Ghost Rider himself, but anytime he touches like a chain or something, he can light it on fire. It's pretty fucking cool. I like it. Get that guy on there. What else? Am I missing anything? Oh yeah, Kyle MacLachlan is amazing. He does great crazy. He's a kind of a tragic character, and how things ended with him at the end. Utter spoilers. It's not. It's kind of uplifting because you do see that Sky does ultimately care for this guy, so much so that she takes all the tragedy from his life in one fell swoop. He starts his own vet shop. He starts his own veterinary practice, and he starts. We're gonna get this person. The place isn't done. We're gonna turn it into a magical place. And I'm like, they wiped his memory. It's kind of sad, but I really like what they did with that character. They didn't redeem him as such, but they helped him. He played great crazy, and he was, we all thought Sky's father would be something like, we thought he'd be like the Mandarin or something, like a really sinister force. And they flipped it. He's a dangerous guy. He's a psychopath. But at the same time, really, really endearing, and you can't help but root for him sometimes. Except whenever he went full Mr. Hyde and he was just scampering about the base, giggling to himself. Less so there. But yeah. This show can impress me. I still think they're working out the kinks. It's not flawless, but it's getting better, and I'm on board, and I want to see more. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the Agents of Shield season 2, Marvel's Agents of Shield. I goddamn hate that name. Yeah, those are my thoughts on Agents of Shield season 2. If you like this vid, please click like, subscribe, view, share, and all the usual jazz. And I'll see you later on YouTube. Goodbye. It's not chill.